Before we begin, please subscribe and like this channel so you never miss a new true story. On the day of my wife's burial, her CEO called me and said, "You need to see this." My name is Marcus Whitfield, 63 years old, and I buried my wife of 34 years on a grey Tuesday in October in a small cemetery outside Charlotte, North Carolina, under an oak tree she used to say looked like it was praying. Diane was the finance director at Bellcrest Industries for 19 years. I was a retired high school principal, the kind of man who believed dignity wasn't loud, it was steady. We built a good life, a paid-off house, 2 grown children, a marriage that survived hard years because we chose each other every single morning. Diane got sick fast, pancreatic cancer, diagnosed in March, gone by September. I held her hand every night in that hospital room. Our son, Terrence, 31, a real estate agent in Atlanta, came for 2 weekends. Our daughter, Renee, 28, a nurse practitioner in Raleigh, was better, but still busy, always busy. I didn't blame them. Grief makes people strange, and I told myself they'd come around. The funeral was small and proper. Diane's sister spoke. I spoke. Terrence read a poem he clearly hadn't practiced. Renee cried real tears, and I believed them. 3 hours after we lowered my wife into the ground, my phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. "Mr. Whitfield, this is Patricia Okafor. I'm the CEO at Bellcrest. I'm so sorry for your loss. I wouldn't call today of all days, but I think you need to see something, and it can't wait." She sent me an email. Attached was a life insurance beneficiary form, dated 4 months before Diane's diagnosis was even suspected, and a second one, dated 3 weeks before she died from her hospital bed. On the second form, my name had been removed as sole beneficiary. In its place, Terrence Whitfield and Renee Whitfield, 70-30 split. Terrence had gotten the larger share. I sat in my truck in the cemetery parking lot and read it twice. Then a third time. The company policy was worth $400,000. Diane had signed it, her signature, shaky but hers. But Patricia told me something that made my stomach drop. The change request had been submitted electronically from Terrence's laptop using Diane's employee portal login 9 days before she passed, while Diane was heavily medicated and, according to the hospital's own records that I would later request, not always lucid. I didn't call Terrence. I didn't call Renee. I drove home, sat in my kitchen, and I didn't cry, and I didn't shout. I just sat there with the quiet that comes after you've already lost the biggest thing you could lose, and this was just another door, closing behind a door that was already gone. That's who I am. I don't explode, I watch. I've spent 40 years watching teenagers try to get away with things, and you learn that the ones who did wrong always give themselves away eventually. You just have to be patient enough to let them. 2 weeks after the funeral, Terrence came to the house. He hugged me, told me he was worried about me being alone, said maybe I should think about selling the house, downsizing, less to manage. Renee started calling more too, always ending with some version of, "Dad, you know Mum would want us to take care of you now." I smiled. I said I was doing okay. I made coffee and I watched. I hired an estate attorney named Sylvia Cho, a sharp woman who used to be a fraud investigator before she went into probate law. I gave her everything. The emails from Patricia, the hospital records I requested showing Diane's medication schedule and cognitive state in her final 2 weeks, the IP login logs Patricia's IT department pulled, showing the beneficiary change came from a device registered to Terrence. Sylvia looked at it all and said quietly, "Marcus, this isn't just a family disagreement. This is elder fraud and forgery, and you have documentation most people never get." I didn't file anything yet. I wasn't interested in punishment for its own sake. I wanted the truth to breathe on its own first. Thanksgiving came, Terence and Renee both showed up at my house, and Terence brought his fiancée, Alicia, a woman I liked, who didn't yet know what her future husband had done. Over dinner, Renee mentioned almost casually that maybe once everything settles, I should think about what to do with Mom's accounts. Terence nodded along like they'd rehearsed it. I passed the mashed potatoes and asked how work was going. After dinner, once Alicia had gone to get her coat, I asked Terence to stay a minute. I sat him down at the kitchen table where he used to do his homework as a boy, and I slid the printed email from Patricia across the table, along with the IT log. He went pale before he even finished reading it. "Dad, it's not what it looks like." "Then tell me what it looks like," I said. My voice didn't rise. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of watching me lose control. "Your mother was on a fentanyl drip 9 days before she died." Terence. "You logged into her account using her name. During a week, the hospital notes say she was, and I quote, intermittently disoriented. Explain that to me like I'm one of your clients." He tried 3 different stories in under 2 minutes. First, he said Diane asked him to help her update paperwork over the phone. Then he said Renee knew about it too and had told him to do it. Then he said he was going to tell me eventually once things settled down, and that he deserved more anyway because he'd taken out loans to help with some of her medical costs, a claim Sylvia later confirmed was false. I had paid every medical bill myself. Renee came back into the kitchen mid-conversation, heard enough, and instead of denying it, she said something I'll never forget. "Dad, we just thought you had the house, you had your pension, you didn't need the insurance money like we did. They thought I didn't need it, like grief comes with an asterisk based on your bank account, like their mother's dying body was a resource to be managed before I could get to it first." I didn't yell. I stood up, thanked them both for coming to dinner, and told them it was time to go home. Alicia came back in, sensed the temperature in the room, and quietly ushered Terence out. Renee lingered at the door like she wanted an apology to undo itself. I just held the door open. The following Monday, I had Sylvia file a formal report with Bellcrest's fraud department and, separately, with the state's Adult Protective Services Division, since the forgery occurred while Diane was medically vulnerable. Patricia, to her credit, froze the payout entirely pending investigation. I also did something Terence never saw coming. I had my own will and Diane's actual final wishes reviewed line by line. Turned out Diane, back when she was still sharp and healthy, had set up a separate trust naming her sister as executor, specifically for our grandchildren's future education, completely untouched by either of our kids' schemes. She'd trusted me to know when to use it. I hadn't needed to yet. Now I did. 3 months later, Bellcrest's investigation confirmed the forgery. Terence wasn't charged criminally. I made the call not to pursue that, out of what was left of my love for the boy I raised. But the insurance company voided the fraudulent beneficiary change entirely and reinstated the original policy, naming me sole beneficiary, exactly as Diane had intended before she got sick. Terence lost his real estate license for 2 years after the state board was notified of the fraud allegation as part of a routine background disclosure requirement tied to his line of work. Alicia postponed the wedding indefinitely. Renee, who had known and said nothing, found herself quietly and permanently removed from any role in managing her mother's remaining accounts or my future affairs. I didn't do any of it in anger. I did it because Diane deserved the truth to matter more than anyone's comfort, including mine. Terence called me on Christmas Eve, crying, apologizing, asking if there was any way back. I told him the door wasn't locked, but it also wasn't going to open itself. Trust isn't inherited. It's rebuilt one honest year at a time, and he was going to have to start from zero. I used the insurance money exactly the way Diane would have wanted. I set up a real scholarship in her name at the high school where I spent 30 years, funding 4 graduating seniors a year who wanted to go into nursing, the way she almost did before finance found her instead. Every spring now, I sit in the front row at that scholarship ceremony in my good grace suit, and I watch some kid who reminds me of Diane's fire walk across a stage. That's the revenge, if you want to call it that. Not punishment, just the truth, finally standing where it belonged all along.